I, 28M, found out that my girlfriend, 25F, once had a threesome with her sister, 22F, and it creeps me out. Please consider subscribing if you enjoy the video. I have been dating a girl I'll call Jess for just over a year now. From the beginning I thought she was a great girl and we really clicked, so generally things have been going great between us. But as the title suggests, I got a huge curveball recently. A couple of weeks ago Jess and I were hanging out with her sister, who I'll call Anne, who was visiting from out of town. I've hung out with Anne before and she also seems like a great girl who is actually very similar to her sister. Well, we were drinking quite a bit that night and at one point Anne brought up her sexual encounter she recently had. While I'm not a prude, I didn't really feel comfortable talking about X with my GF sister, so I gently tried to tell them to take the conversation back to PG territory. At that point Anne kinda laughed and said it's not like talking about X is a big deal between them given all they've been through. I thought she just meant that they were sisters, but Jess had a weird look on her face, so I asked her what she meant. After some prodding they basically admitted that 3 years ago when Jess was still in college she brought home a guy one time when Anne was visiting her and they basically had an unplanned drunk threesome. My reaction was just what the frick. Both Jess and Anne seem like normal, maybe even slightly conservative girls, so the idea that they would do this was just batshit to me. I asked them if they regretted it, but basically they said that even though it was a mistake, they didn't necessarily feel bad about it. The booze was hitting us pretty badly at that point and we called it a night soon after that. We didn't mention it again until Anne left a day later, but then I had another conversation with Jess. I told her that what her sister told me made me very uncomfortable. Her response was to get defensive and say it's not like she can change anything, so what's the point of dwelling on it. She said she obviously wouldn't do something like that ever again. The problem is somehow the situation really bothers me. I know it sounds like a fantasy to some people, but I find it quite the opposite. I don't really know how to explain it. I suppose they did nothing wrong per se, but the idea very much weirds me out. It's even weird to think about being around Anne again knowing that they have this kind of history. I am not really sure exactly what advice I am looking for, but I just want an outside perspective. Should I try to have another conversation with Jess? Am I making a bigger deal out of this than I should? To be honest, I even found myself considering breaking up over this situation since part of me is afraid I'll never be able to look at Jess the same after this. I wonder if the act is the big deal for you, or how she plays it off, or maybe a bit of both. If she told you all three of them were greatly impaired, remembered less than nothing about it, and it was the biggest, most horrifying, shameful thing she had ever done, would it have changed your approach to this? Maybe she's being blazed and evasive because she is super ashamed that it happened. Just a thought. I certainly don't know her as a person, and you do have every reason to be put off by this. I'd say it's likely less of the threesome part and more of the incestuous part. Why would the sister bring it up? That's just weird. Was she fishing to see if maybe you would be up for it? I guess it seems strange to bring something like that up. I know I would never in a million years let anyone know I had done that, no matter how comfortable I am with X and talking about. I'm definitely not a prude. The reason why the sister brought it up was because OP was trying to keep the conversation PG. Sis took offense to being told what to do and in her rebellion she threw OP's girlfriend under the bus. I don't think she was fishing, but just wanted to throw it in his face for shock factor, like me and my sis are not that innocent. This made me laugh. I just pictured the sister like, oh yeah, well, we had a threesome, now let me tell my ex stories. I think the reason she got defensive was because she's probably embarrassed and really didn't want to talk about it. Honestly, you probably would never have known if her sister didn't say anything. I totally agree with how you feel. I don't think I'd ever be able to get over that if that came out about my significant other. The whole sibling thing is a bit too much. Oh, that's so creepy and nasty. I would rather die than be in a sexual situation with a sibling. I feel uncomfortable just reading this. I basically almost never go to Pornhub anymore because the incest peen is everywhere and I don't even like reading the titles. You're right to be weirded out, that's fricked up. I personally would not date a person who has done this. Incest isn't a subject for debate when it involves someone I'm dating. Someone who's a friend? Sure, your life you do you. Someone I want to spend the rest of my life with? Sorry, don't think we see family the same way and it will probably never leave my mind. Plenty more fish in the sea that haven't slept with their own blood. Yeah, I hadn't really given this topic any real thought in the past, but I suppose my answer would have been very similar. The only part that is maybe a bit of silver lining is that they said they hadn't done any direct sexual acts on each other, so I suppose that blurs the incest label a bit. But I don't know if I'm just trying to rationalize it, it still feels like crossing what to me would be a major line. It's possible to be in a threesome that's acted out more like a 2-on-1 sum. I'd chalk it up to that and expect that there are no secrets between your so and her sis, now or ever. It's possible to be in a threesome that's acted out more like a 2-on-1 sum. Yeah, I suppose that was the case here, which in some sense makes it less bad I guess. But they did admit it wasn't completely zero contact, like they were all on the same bed and they kissed at least. And at the end of the day I feel like I don't really care about the details or labels that much. The part that bothers me the most is that they willingly shared a sexual experience. Eek, they kissed? No, shut it down. The thought of kissing my sister makes me wanna gag. I'm bi and she's a lesbian, so it's not that. She's my freaking sister. She's 4 years younger than me. She's like my baby. I get uncomfortable when she talks about her ex-life. I couldn't imagine participating in it. No amount of alcohol would make that happen either. Gross.